Today, we're going to trace the incredible journey of a single mineral, from a rock, pulled from the earth in West Africa, all the way to the battery that's powering our green energy revolution. Let's dive in.
So, what does an electric car cruising through Shanghai have to do with a dusty mine in Mali? I mean, they seem like they're worlds apart, right? Well, the connection is incredibly direct, and honestly, it's reshaping our entire world. The answer is lithium. It's become one of the most critical, most sought-after commodities on the entire planet.
And just look at the price for its raw, rock-based form. It's called spodumene. It is just skyrocketing. This isn't some simple market fluctuation, folks. This is a full-blown white gold rush, and it's being fueled by a global demand that is frankly absolutely insatiable. So let's start right there. The white gold rush. What is going on? Why is the entire world scrambling for this one specific mineral?
Well, the answer is pretty much all around us. Think about it. The electric cars that are rapidly taking over our roads, the massive battery systems, you'll hear them called BSS, that store solar and wind power, the demand is just exploding. And the one crucial ingredient they all need is lithium. It's the key component, and with prices forecast to just keep on climbing, the race is on to find and produce a lot more of it.
Now, to really get a handle on this, let's zoom in. We're going to look at one company right at the heart of this rush, a new producer called Kodal Minerals. Their story out in Mali shows us exactly how this whole thing works, right there on the ground. Just take a look at this timeline. It really shows you how fast things are moving in this industry. In a little over a decade, Kodal went from being a pretty small explorer to locking down a massive $118 million funding deal and actually breaking ground on a mine. That kind of speed, from finding something to producing it in just a few years, that's what this new gold rush is all about. Okay, so they've got the rights, they've got the funding. But how do you actually turn a simple rock in the ground into the material that powers a battery? Let's step inside the Bougouni mine and find out. It all starts with pretty standard open-pit mining, blasting and hauling the ore. That rock then gets crushed into smaller, more manageable pieces. But the really clever part is step 3. A process called dense media separation, or DMS. And it's surprisingly simple. It basically just uses a dense liquid to let the heavier lithium-rich rock sink while all the waste floats. And what's really important to know here is that it's a completely chemical-free process. Now, as you can imagine, building a mine isn't cheap. The initial capital expenditure, or CapEx, for just the first stage of this project was a cool $65 million. And that's the kind of investment you need before a single ounce of lithium even leaves the site.
And this is the product they're creating, spodumene concentrate. Now, it's not the final battery, of course, but it is the essential raw ingredient. Think of it like high-grade flour that gets shipped off to a specialized bakery, which in this case is a chemical plant, where it gets turned into the final product, battery-grade lithium. But that spodumene has to go somewhere, right? And this entire operation is only possible because of a really crucial global partnership. This brings us to the money, the logistics, and a story that connects Mali directly to China.
This partnership, it's like a perfect puzzle. On one side, you've got Kodal, the smaller company with the actual lithium in the ground and the local know-how. On the other, you have Hainan Mining, a massive conglomerate that brought the $118 million needed to build the mine. But here's the absolute key. Hainan also agrees to buy 100% of everything the mine produces. They are the off-taker, a guaranteed customer. It's a completely symbiotic relationship.
Okay, now for a second, just think about the logistics here. Mali is a landlocked country, so getting the lithium out is a huge challenge. Every single bit of it has to travel 900 kilometers by truck. That's about a 6-day journey across the border into a port in Côte d'Ivoire. Only then can it finally be loaded onto a ship for that last long voyage to its final destination in China.
But that first mine, that's really just the beginning. The real ambition here is to scale up production. So how does a project like this get bigger and better?
Well, the strategy is pretty smart. Stage 1 is that lower-cost, simpler DMS plant we just talked about. The idea is to use the profits from that to fund the much bigger Stage 2. That next stage will add a more complex flotation plant, which can extract even more lithium from the ore, and it will nearly double the mine's annual production.
Of course, you can't plan for a bigger mine if you don't have the rock to support it. And this table shows you the geology that makes them so confident. The tons column, that's how much ore they think they have, and the grade shows how rich that ore is with lithium. The bottom line here? They've identified nearly 32 million tons of lithium-bearing rock. That's the foundation for their entire long-term plan to expand.
So let's bring this all together. What does the road ahead really look like, not just for this one mine, but for the whole lithium story?
A huge part of any modern mining story has to be sustainability. And as this quote shows, the goal isn't just about extracting a resource, it's about making sure the local community benefits. In today's world, earning that social license, the trust and acceptance of the local people, is every bit as important as the rock in the ground. So the roadmap from here is pretty clear. First, get the initial mine up and running and actually generating revenue. Next, focus on that sustainability reporting and planning for future growth. And then, the big prize, getting that much larger Stage 2 production online by 2028.
So there you have it. From a single rock in Mali to a battery in Shanghai, the journey is just immense. It crosses continents, it involves geology, finance, incredible logistics. And remember, this is just one mine. To power our electric future, this complex story has to be repeated hundreds of times, all over the world. Which really leaves us with a critical question. The materials for our green future have an incredibly long and complicated journey ahead of them. Are we truly ready for it?